Hi guys, just a very quick explanation to what's in our daisy kit. We've got our stems, our structure, we've got our bendable pipe. So we're going to start now with all the pieces from our kit and our pipe, and we are going to start by setting up our DIY mold maker. So it's very, very easy. We're just going to take one of the petals and make it as the initial mold. One of these petals, and we are going to glue this straight as possible the way you want, where you want your veins to be. So I'm going to do one right here, and we're going to glue it. So I'm going to place it right there. Make sure you leave some space here for the wire on this side right here. Oh, and on this other side, because this is going to be inserted into the Pink Panther foam. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. And I'm going to take one of these wires right through where I want my veins to be, because this is going to help you mold your petals much faster. So these little things come in your sunflowers and daisy kits. And then we're going to do the third one, which is basically right in the middle. Right there. Make sure you get it pretty glued. Oh, my fingers are getting sticky. So once you have this part done, we're going to heat form it, and we're going to make these as pronounced as possible. Right there. Let me just make sure this is glued properly. And we're going to heat form right here. And we're going to make sure this goes all the way down as much as possible, because this is going to be your mold. And we're going to do this on this side too. Okay, so after we got to do the edges too. So I need to make sure this does not unglue. Yeah, that's no wonder I felt it. You need to make sure it's very, very well glued. And then this will be your form shaper. So we're going to put it right at the edge, stick it right there. Can you see that? So I stuck it right there. And we're going to put here the form we want it to have. So I'm going to stick it right at the edge, right here. So I'm going to pull it back, make sure. I think I need to put it a little bit back over here. Actually, you can push it into this side. So it's just going to help you give your petals a form. And this is where you want your petal to form. So make sure, now we're going to make sure we get the exact form on this petal. And we don't want this to show. I'm going to go this side. So I want this to be a little bit more pointy here. I don't know if you can see. So, because it's actually a little bit thinner. So I'm going to close it in a little bit here. Then right here, I'm going to make sure this is really, really, really closed off. And then right here. You can pinch it very well, because this is your mold. This is going to be your mold for your petal. You want these to be very strong. And it to be very well attached. So I'm going to put a little bit of extra here to make sure this is very well marked. So this is your mold. Okay, now press it down here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to heat the petals and we're just going to press over it and put all our fingers like that. So let's do that. I usually put it on a grill. I'm going to show you how, because it's another easy way. Once you start getting into this craft, I recommend you get a little flat grill and then you just stretch it and put your fingers over. And you start getting your daisy petals. Let me show you also with a grill, and we're going to repeat this. I don't know if you can see this grill, so I'm going to turn it on right here at 350 to warm all our petals. So that way you have your mold, and if you want to make it like more pronounced, you can put actually glue. Like for example, I can put glue here. Like that. And you give this vein lots of strength. And then you can put glue right here. So you got your mold. Now we're just going to repeat this with all our petals, and we're going to make sure they are very marked right here at the edge. So we are heating this up, and we're going to get all our petals, and we're going to make it, give them a, it's still heating. So as you can see, I added some glue here, so it'll be really, really strong in these veins, because this is a very important part when you do your flower. So look at how nice it comes out. So we're going to do the next one. And look at, I'm just heating this on this grill. You can do it with your heat gun, but to me, it's just kind of easier. Make sure you don't burn yourselves. And you just let it warm until it feels like really gets soft, not too much. And then you're just going to stretch it a little bit and make sure you pass your fingers through the sides while it's still warm and through the center. And right here, make sure you get a really nice pinch like that. So that's it. And you've got your daisy petals, and you start forming all of them. So I'm going to do the other one, and we're just going to repeat this with all our petals until we're done. Make sure you get a feel for your for how soft the foam gets, and then we're just going to put it right there, and we're going to pass. As you can see, I got these 4 fingers going through it right here. See how nice? Now, if you make a mistake with one, you can reheat it. Let's grab this one, like the first one we did with the, looks nice, but let's do it again. Just so you don't get all crazy if it goes too crooked. You got to be kind of fast. But, you know, it's just the first 3 that maybe you'll be like, oh, I get it. And we redo it. We place it. Then we make sure our 4 fingers, the 2 sides, and right here. Now, this is not going to, you won't be able to see, but it is very important because this makes the petal stand up. You know, the more pleated it is, the stronger the petal will be. You see? So we're going to repeat with all our petals, and we're just going to keep on going until we're done. Okay, guys, just wanted to give you a little heads up here. So on your mold, if you feel like it's moving a little bit too much, just fix it up a little bit. Make sure the more you press, the more it's going to go down. So you want to get, especially the middle one, because the middle one is kind of like putting a wire through it when you're, because you want this to not droop. So this middle vein is very important. So I just want another little tip here. Is if you want to try, like, once your petal is warm, make sure it's very moldable. You want to put it, stretch it out, pass your fingers, make sure you've got the central vein very well marked, and then you can kind of pinch it right here. And you're going to go like that slowly. You see right here? It's very different each petal. If you mark it, don't worry, just stretch it out. We're going to try another one just to see how we're going to hold it here like this. And make sure you pass 2 fingers here, 2 fingers on the side, and you go like that. And you make sure, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's got to be very, very soft for it to mold properly. So I'm pinching it right here, and I hold it, and I stretch. And I make sure I put my 4 fingers on each side. You see my 4 fingers? And this little pinch goes out pretty cute. Look at that. So you've got and it holds. So that's what you're going to want to do when we put it together on the structure. We're going to do this. And that's what's going to make it hold. That central vein is very important. So anyway, let's continue. Okay, guys, so now we're just going to make our petals stronger. What it means is we're going to fold here. We're going to put it there. Now that we're finished with all of them, and I'm just going to put some glue here and here, not too much because you don't want it to weigh too much. And you're going to close it up like that. You know, like if it were the normal daisy petal, you know how it's pinched from the one when it comes out. So this little, so that's how it holds. And you've got super nice. All right, next one. If you feel you need to put more heat, you can put more heat there. Make it softer so it pinches properly. And you just hold it like that. It's just a little strengthening of the petal, really, what it is. So I'm going to put it in there. It's just strengthening so it won't flop. That's basically all we're doing. You see? And then this is going to glue directly to our little structure. For this, I suggest you use the 369 glue because it doesn't weigh as much as this heat as the glue gun silicone. So that's how it's going to go. So we hold the petal. And we just do this to all our petals. And we just made them stronger. The daisy looks easy, but it has its complications. Now let's continue and finish them all. Now this other part, our bud, is so cute. You're going to have fun with this one. So basically the only thing we got to do, well, if you got some of these little things, you just got to take them out. And we're just going to glue it all together. I'm going to take this one off because it's too much. It's actually kind of crooked. So I'm going to glue this. Make sure it's one aligned next to the other one. Can you see that? You don't want them like that, like crossed over. You want them all aligned so you can have that little circle. And we're going to do this with all our bud parts, every single one. So we're just going to glue. We're just going to make a little line of glue here and close it up. Make sure one is right in front of the other one. See, like right here, it's moving to the side. You want it right in front of the other one. Right there. Like that. So we're going to do this with all of them. And we're going to repeat with all the rest. And with these, we're going to do the exact same thing. These have little flowers. These are the ones that go at we're going to roll at the edges. Just make sure we got to get all these little things out. So we're going to get this and just close it like that. The same we did with the other one. If one by any chance breaks from here, I'm going to tear it. I don't want to, but I'm going to tear it just so if it happens to you. Because there's some that are very, very small. It's very, very tiny. I don't know if you can see. So let's say it breaks. You just glue it back together. Let the little flower opens. So we're going to repeat this with all our strips. You see? So this is basically going to go, we're going to close it up like that. And it starts being your bud. And then once we do all the circles, we're going to close it with the little stars. So let's continue. So now with the leaves, it's really, really super easy, guys. So we're just going to pass our heat over it, very easy like that. We're going to pass through the center. And we're going to make a small, let me get this plastic out of here. A small little crease, just like that. Very little. Can you see that? So it's just a texture crease. Now here, we're going to make this, we're going to go one by one. And this, we follow the crease, but we're going to crimple it like that. So it's got the crease, but it's kind of all corrugated, or what would be the word? And then we have here, we make the line right here, but we crush it a little bit. So you see, it starts looking kind of crushed, but this line comes through the center. So you want to do that. So we're going to do the same thing here. And we're going to follow this line from the center. And then we're going to crush it. So you see, there's kind of like this crooked line going like that. So we're going to do the same thing on this leaf. I don't know what we call these little edges. This little edge of the leaf, you see? Looks kind of crooked. but it follows the line through the center. So we're going to do this here. We're going to still do the line through the center. Make sure you don't lose this one. And we're going to crush it. So I'm just crushing it like slowly. And you see? So now we're going to do this on the last three. We're going to follow this line. And we're going to crush it. See how it's crushed? But it goes through that line. Right here, because we're going to put the wire through there. Well, and the wire or stem, if you're doing a giant one, which is this one, is a standing one. But if your leaf is smaller and you're doing, you see how that goes? And it looks a little bit. And we're going to crumple it here and then squash it a little bit. So I'm going to cut the little head out of my 3 stems. 1. If you have a wire and your leaves are smaller because you're doing a wallflower, you're just going to have to do that. And there you go. And we're going to do the same thing with our 3 leaves. And I'm going to so we put our glue. And we're going to make sure our wire, or in this case, this is the stem, is properly stretched out. And we're going to glue. And there you go. Look at that. What a pretty leaf. Pretty leaf. Make sure this right here is pretty well glued. So we're going to do the next 2 leaves. And here we go. So we're going to do, remember, the first line through the center. And then we fold here. This just gives us the guide. And then we start to the top. Heat it up. Make sure you get the first line and then you crush it. And there you go. And we're going to do the second line right here. Third line. Make sure you grab it. There we go. And we make sure this comes from here. And we're going to crush it. And then we crush it again. You want to make sure these lines stay together because this is what's going to hold these from not flapping going down like that, you know? So you want to make sure these little pieces stay like together, you know, like that from this line. Because you don't want this, like this one. If it doesn't have any veins, it'll tend to flap like paper. And we do not want that. We want it to have form and to stay the form. Oops. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to place our glue. I'm just going to stretch it out here a little bit. Look at that. How pretty is that? It's got this really nice form to it. Just going to place extra glue here. And we're going to do that with our third petal and our third leaf, I'm sorry. And we are ready for the next part. Okay, guys. So now we're going to start thermoforming our leaves and our sepal. So you've got your structure, which is not more than a little plate. And we're just going to go around it like that. And we're just going to give it that form. We're just going to make the little edges go in a little bit. You can also put it over a bowling ball or something, but it's easier to do it over the plate. So we just pass the heat. And this is kind of like all we're gonna do. Because it's still gonna be over petals, so you want to put it like that. So just like this. And now we're gonna do with the leaves. Okay, so this is the exciting part. We have finished and sealed and thermoformed all our petals. We have our centers all done. We have our sepal thermoformed, and we have our leaves wired, and we are ready to start either painting or start assembling. So I'm going to take you to the painting part. So yes, we have all our pieces done, and let's paint now. So now we're gonna on our paint booth, and I usually try to use a lime, lighter color and a darker color green. You can use whichever. And we are just gonna give them a little bit of painting. So basically you can do the other way around, but just so you can see, we're gonna paint a line through the center, through the center, through the center, and just a little bit there. Then right here on these parts, we're just gonna make a line through the outside. Not on those. And then we're going to use our, I'm going to put a little bit more darker here. And just a little bit of, make sure they're not covering each other. Put a little bit darker there. And you just want the edges, like it's a little bit burned. And there we go. And we're going to repeat on the other side. And we're going to use the light color green on the outer one. And that's it. Now make sure you do both sides. I always do the back side first. So you always let this one dry. Now we're in Texas, so it's really hot right now. It's getting really hot in our painting booth. So it dries up like so fast. It's unbelievable. Now try not to, if you're going to use, you can also do this with craft paint, you know, a little dab of or oil pastel. And that's it. And on the sepal, you only need one side. So we are done with our painting session. So we are now definitely on the most exciting part of our giant daisy. So we've got our sepal, we've got our bud strips, we've got our 3 painted leaves and all our petals and our structure parts. So we're going to start by rolling these. I try to roll, you can roll whichever, the dark side towards the painted side. And you just start rolling it together. Try to make sure that this is flat, because this is all going to go inside the petals. So we're going to roll first. We're going to start rolling these pieces, start gluing them. Try to keep them as flat as possible. And I am going to roll. And that's it. We're going to do that. I'm going to cut this little one off because it's kind of not round. So you see how you can see a little bit of dark in there? That's why I like to paint the edges, because it just has a shadow. And then we're going to go to the next one. And we're going to keep on rolling. Try to make sure one little bud fits in there in the previous one. So, because later on when you go, you can stretch it a little bit. If it tears when you stretch, don't worry. I'm going to show you what we're going to do right now. See, this one's going to the inside, and you don't want that to happen. You want it to be as flat as possible. So we're just going to keep on rolling our center. Just putting the glue. We keep on rolling, rolling. Here's the second row. So can you see there? So we're going to go for the next one. See here, it's not that straight. Now, nothing really happens, but you want it to be, you know, when you put it over the petals, you want it to be straight. So we're going to go to the next one, and we're going to continue to roll. And we're just going to keep on going. Keep on going. Make sure it's flat if you see it sideways. And we're going to roll the 6 strips. I'm going to cut this part off. There we go, we got 2 more strips. Push it like that, make sure it doesn't go. So we have now finished our center bud, and we're just going to wrap these 4 around it. Now here, what you want to make sure is when you go on the second round, you want these little flowers to fit in the middle of each, right? So we're going to start again, continue our little bud, and it is the cutest, cutest, cutest thing ever. Make sure I'm holding it down so it goes straight. So like that. So we keep it as straight as possible. Now when we do the second, the third one, we're going to have to look at it sideways to make sure our little flowers are in between, like that they don't get on top. Sometimes they will, but you want them to be in between these 2, right? So you want it to be like this one right there, this one right there, between these 2. I'm going to stretch it here a little bit. And here it starts getting over the other one. So what am I going to do there? I'm going to either stretch it. If it stretches too much that it tears, don't worry. There, I stretched it. See, I want one to tear so you can see nothing happens. So I stretched it right there. And I want it to go right in the middle of those. So I'm going to stretch it right there. See, look at that, how pretty it starts looking. So there we go again. So right here, look at that. Just want it to go. And then we got 2 more to go. So we're going to follow the line. Make sure it doesn't twist down. You want it as flat as possible. So we're going to continue. And we're just going to do this right there. Now here I'm going to have to, since it's right over the other one, I'm going to have to stretch it. If it tears, don't worry too much. I'm going to have to stretch it here too. Ooh, there we go. And right there too. You see right there that it's stretching so it doesn't. Oh, let me get this one off here. And here what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it. So I can put this one right there and start right here. So remember, you can do all things. You can, it doesn't have to be like perfect here because nobody's going to see anything. Here you just want your bud to look really, really, really nice. That's what makes it look like a professional. See here, it's the same thing. So I'm going to just kind of have to cut it here and paste it over here. This one looks fine. This one looks fine. This one's fine. Right there. So one more strip and we're done with our bud. I just want to make sure it's really flat like that. One more strip. So we want to make sure these fit in here and this one goes in there. This one goes in there. Look at that. How pretty is that? So one last strip. And that's it. Right there. This one fits in there. Fits. I'm going to stretch it in there. I'm going to cut it here because it felt it's stretched enough. And that's it, guys. We are done with our bud. Look at that. Look at that. So you are now ready to, just want to make sure that this is as straight as possible. Now we press it, and I'm just going to put some glue here to make sure it doesn't move. Kind of give it that little, like that. Okay, so now that we have this, we are going to try to make sure you've got the front side is this one turning up. I mean, you can use it like that, but I like it better like this. So, and I think this is the way to go. So we're going to try to fit 11. We've got 36 petals, but let's try to cut it at 33 so we can do like 11 on each side. So here we're going to do 1, 2. Now I'm going to check here the size of it. So from here to here, ooh, it's a little bit too big, 25 inches. It's supposed to be 20, but we're going to close it in a little bit just so it's a little bit bigger than we thought. But bigger is not a big problem. The problem is when they're smaller. Although sometimes you do need it a certain size because if it goes too big, it'll offset your design. So we're going to just fix them up before you glue them. Make sure you have your 11 petals kind of organized because it's going to be 3 layers of 11. Okay, so let's organize them. So to calculate your 11, I'm going to glue 1 and right straight to it, we make a line. So that means you've got to fit 5 on this side. And you've got to fit 5 on this side. So you've got your, let me get it right, your 11 petals. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to glue this one. Now remember what we did here. So I'm going to open it up like this a little bit and put glue here, 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 and right next to the line. Make sure it's kind of like the same height from the center to this, that same space right here to right here. Don't worry about it, the other part. So this is the other one right next to this one. So we got that line in the middle. So I'm going to fix it over here and place this one right here. Okay, so now we got to fit 4 in here. Make sure you give them approximately the same space. So I'm just going to fit them like this and just kind of visualize them to make sure we've got our 11 petals. So yeah, that kind of looks good. So now we are going to glue. Here we go. And then right there. Now right here, these 2. So there we go. Now we got to put these 5 over here. Well, these 4, I'm sorry. We already had to put the first one. 1, 2. Now I'm going to put the glue here on this one. 1. Oh, it was a little bit too out. Now, don't worry if there's more space here than here, or for example here, because we're going to do three layers. This is layer 1, 2, and 3. So you've got, this is a very realistic daisy. That means it's got lots of petals. You know, you normally see daisies with that's it, but we want it to be super professional grade. So what I'm going to do here is F space. You're going to have to kind of divide it in two. So I'm going to put it a little, you can see right here, I'm going to put this one just a little bit closer to this one because the other one will be right here. You've got like 3 layers. So I'm going to do this layer now. Now this one a little bit closer to this one, just a tiny bit. Doesn't have to be like perfect or anything, but just a tiny bit. Because after that, we're going to put this in our structure, and that's where it's going to hold really nice upward. Look at that. Okay, so let's keep on going. So this one's closer to this one right here. This one's going to be closer to this one, although these two are really close. So it's going to look super nice, super full. Super full. So we do the next one. Keep it closer to this one and this one. Ooh, it's got a little, remember you get a little scrub like that, you just grab a wipey with a little bit of soap and you can clean it. It's the great thing about EVA foam. I love that. Is it this one? Oh yeah, it's this one. Then you glue it there. And then you glue it there. So we got our 22 petals. Now we're going to take our structure and we're just going to cut the edges out because this is what's going to hold the sepal and it's going to make the flower a little bit stronger, and we want that. So we start with this. And we're just going to cut through it. You just want, like the white part, you just want a little bit of support. You don't need all that support because the daisy is a very flat flower. But at the same time, you want it to give it a little bit of support that it doesn't flop. You don't want it to flop. So I'm going to open this up as much as I can. And then you're going to kind of want to put it like this. Okay. So this is where you're going to take, I don't know if you can see, but I press it and it presses up, and you want that to be something like that. I don't know if you can see it sideways, but you want it a little bit pressed. And then after this, you're going to put the last row and then the sepal. So here is where it's going to go really interesting. We're going to press it. Look at that. It is gorgeousness. Okay, here we go. So with this, I will use my silicone glue. Okay, so now we're going to put glue on it and press it really hard. Look at that, how nice it turns. So it looks like a gorgeous, this structure, the little plate. This little simple paper plate gives it a really nice structure. And now it's kind of holding up. And this is where you're going to start gluing your last row of petals in the spaces you feel it's lacking. So for example, right there. I'm going to put it right there. So I'm just going to put some glue. Now here I am going to open it a little bit more. Make sure it's right there. Now in this section, but it has to be very, very easy. You want a little dab of glue from petal to petal, but you want to have the exact position of your petals. Right there. Because this is like where you seal it off, right? Where you seal the deal. Put just a little dab here. A little dab right there. And then I'm going to put my hand in through here to make sure this is holding. A very tiny drop. You don't want the drop to be noticeable from the front. Although you won't because you've got the bud there, but you just want to make sure it holds properly. It gives it more strength to the open side. So now we're going to do the same one with this one. It's right there. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to kind of slowly place it where I think it's missing some space right there. And then I'm going to put my hand in and make sure it's pressing. I'm actually going to jump to, since I see lots of, it's all pretty, I'm going to put it right here first. So I'm going to open it up, place some glue. Make sure the length is proper from here to here, but I will need one there. Let me just put it right there. Make sure I don't put it the other way around. That the line towards the up, it's to the front. So I'm gonna open it up right here. Hold it open. And just glue it right there. And we're gonna do this. And then we're going to put it right there. I'm looking at the spaces. I'm looking at the space right here. Like right there, right there. You want your daisy to be full, like it has to look like super pro, super pro. Right there. Right there's a good space. So remember, you put it on the sides so it glues a little bit to the plate, to the petal, and at the same time you put your hand under it so you can hold it at the length you need it to be and the angle, right? So you can see it's a little bit angled. Look at that. Now we're gonna need one right there. Can you see that space? So that's why we always have like 3 extra petals. Put one right there. Well, actually, 1, 2, 3 there. This one right here. We really need it right there. Where do I need it? I think because this looks super full, but I'm going to put this one right here. To the front, a little bit sideways this way, but it should go this way. I'm just going to have to do it like that. I feel it needs it more on this side than that. Right there. So when you're left with your last little petal, when you're left with your, like, you got to go look around and see, well, I got 2 more. So if you look at it, where would you put it? Look at that. Look at that. Like there's a little space here, and there's a little space here. So you got 2 extra petals. Might as well, I guess there. Although we already have one, but it doesn't really, I just want it really full. And yes, I'm going to do it in the place it's supposed to go, right there. And here I think it glued a little bit, so I'm just going to put a little that here. And there you go. Look at that. Look at that gorgeous daisy. So now the last part, well, 2 last parts because we got it set up. So this is what I call the structure. This fits perfectly snug into your 20mm pipe. So this is kind of, you know, like the artificial flowers. So we're going to glue this right here before we set up our sepal. Like that. Okay, so here is the exciting part. So press it open like that. Make sure these light edges, don't cut yourself, okay? It's got aluminum, so you're gonna do something like this. So now I'm gonna start gluing these little legs. I'm gonna do first these two onto our plate. Try to keep it as center as possible. I'm going to glue the two other sides. Make sure it doesn't go to one side too much. I'm just going to pick this up. Oh no, this is my good glue. So I'm going to hold it down tight. Just wait for it to dry. Now the last side. Put it. I'm going to press it, make sure you don't get what's the word? You don't get burned. And there you go. I'm just going to put a little bit of extra glue here because I feel it's a little bit too far away. And push. Now this has to be straight. And then last and not least, we're going to insert our sepal. And just make sure we cover everything. Make sure these little things are getting covered. Looks a little bit short, but we're going to cover those little legs. If you need to cover one of them and it doesn't cover it, we're going to stretch it out like here and right here. Okay, so here we go. First, I'm going to cover one of these little legs, stretch it, and make sure that you get the little edge over the petal because that holds it. And now let's cover this one that wants to come out. So we're going to cover it, stretch it. I'm going to put some glue all over it and right here at the edge too, so we can make sure the sepal is covering it. And then we're going to cover this one. Now it could be said also that you can place this before you place the last layer of petals. You can also do that. I just feel like if it's flat, it guides me better, but you know, it can also be done. So now where's the last one? And we're going to make sure it gets covered. Comes out a little bit. And now we're just going to make sure our sepal is covering all our pieces. It needs to go over our petals. So you need to make sure that these, like right here, you want to cover that. If there's some little plate showing, that you do not want that. Right here. You need to cover that up. I may be doing these a little bit longer, just because in the thermoform it gets a little bit like contracted. You know, it reduces size. So now I'm going to go through this, and we're just going to make sure these all glue. These last two. Now on this other side, This one's missing. Looks as real as can be. Still need some here. And look at that. Look at that gorgeousness. Let me try to. I got your daisy. So now we are going to the easiest part of the setup. And we're just gonna, this is 6 foot long, so I'm just gonna open up and make it as straight as possible. Make sure you're kind of soft with it when you're bending it in, so you don't crease your bendable pipe. So I'm just gonna put it kind of more on the top. So I'm gonna do 2 on one side and 2 on the other. So I'm gonna grab my drill, and I want it high, close to the bloom. So that's it, and we go a little bit sideways. Make sure your drill bit is big enough so your leaf can fit. I'm gonna cut this little part out because it's kind of a little bit thicker. So you're gonna do this, and that's it. You can do it, put it facing upwards. So I actually want it facing like this part sideways. So I'm gonna put it in like sideways. And I'm going to one here, but on the back side. Should have waited, but I'm gonna hold it right there. And then sideways, just open it. And then just a little bit here, probably around there. And I'm just gonna drill in there. So it depends on your setup. Like for example, I do these hat boxes and I need all the leaves on top. You may need all the leaves on the bottom. So basically that's it. And we just insert, put them sideways, insert them looking to the front. And now this one, can you see? And there we go. Now we are going to go set it up. So we are now in the most exciting part of our build, which is the setup. So I'm in the middle of lots of hat boxes that we're building. So my stem is 6 feet tall. We already put the leaves, and we are gonna look at our beautiful daisy. Look at that. So it's strong, and we are going to just insert this in here. Make sure this is straight, because remember the pipe, this pipe is 20 millimeters on the exterior, and we're just going to kind of twirl it. If you need to put, it's kind of long. If you need to put your hand to kind of push it, like shimmy it in. There we go. And I am just gonna twist it a little. Make sure when you don't bend it hard, because you don't want to bend your pipe too much. And I am just going to set it up here so you can see. Look at how beautiful it looks. Now this is a very tall daisy. So this is what you can do with your kit. And congratulations, because you just finished your awesome giant daisy. Look at that. It's just so tall. Awesome giant daisy. Here it is.